So my name is Amy Hsiao, your personal family lawyer. Today we are all about protecting your family's well-being from the health perspective as well as from the legal perspective. So let's go ahead and get started. And Dr. Maddie, I'm going to hand over to you so you can introduce yourself and then you can share your screen and go from there. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, Amy. My name is Dr. Maddie. I am a chiropractor in La Jolla Village. I specialize in prenatal and pediatric care. So I see a lot of pregnant moms and babies and kiddos, but I honestly work with anyone with a spine. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs and athletes and gym goers and all the other people in between as well. So today I'm going to be talking about chiropractic. Let me share my screen here and get my beautiful PowerPoint going. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Again, my name is Dr. Maddie. My practice is Awaken Family Chiropractic, located in La Jolla Village on Herschel Street. And today, we're going to be talking about chiropractic care, protecting your physical well-being and how it can really benefit your health in general. So first, let's start with what you probably already know about chiropractic. So when you think of chiropractic, you probably think about how it helps with back pain, neck pain, headaches and migraines, motor vehicle accident injuries, back injuries, like when you're lifting something heavy and you hurt your back, and improving posture. Now, chiropractic is amazing for all of these different things, and all of these different things are important because having pain or having poor posture affects your quality of life. However, this is really just the tip of the iceberg of what chiropractic is all about. And today, I hope to really allow you to understand the depth and the power of chiropractic. So let's talk about what you might not know about chiropractic. So chiropractic is a healthcare discipline that emphasizes the inherent recuperative power of the body to heal itself without the use of drugs or surgery. The practice of chiropractic focuses on the relationship between the structure, primarily the spine, and function as coordinated by the nervous system, and how that relationship affects the preservation and restoration of health. So that's a mouthful, and we're going to break that down so that we can really understand what it means. And in order to do that, we have this beautiful diagram. So chiropractic is really a science, a philosophy, and an art. It has three parts to it. The science of chiropractic is all about the nervous system. The philosophy of chiropractic is all about this thing called innate intelligence, which we will talk about. And then the art of chiropractic is the adjustment. So let's talk about each one of these things and really understand them. The first is the science, which is the nervous system, the master control system of your entire body. So the real reason that chiropractors look at your back is because of your spine. Now, your spine houses this very, very important, very, very beautiful structure called your spinal cord. And if we can all think back to our elementary school science class, our spinal cord has a very important job, which is to connect our brain, which lives inside of our skull, to our body. So you have these nerves that run throughout your system and connect to every cell, every tissue, every organ, every muscle, every gland inside of your body has a nerve attached to it that then goes up to the brain. So what we want is we want that brain-body connection to be clear, to be effective, to be efficient all day and all night. When we have that clear communication, we're able to stay healthy and we're able to stay vibrant and we're able to do the things that we want to do with our body. Now, if we have a misalignment in our spine, that causes an interference in that communication and our body doesn't function the way that it's intended to. So my job as a chiropractor is to assess the spine, to realign the spine, and not only does that help with pain, but that helps with the entire functioning of your nervous system, again, is the master control system. So chiropractic not only helps with back pain, but it helps with everything listed here on the slide. So that includes your digestion, that includes your immune system functioning, that includes your heart function, your breathing, your reproductive function, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, feeling, all 5 of your senses have to do with your nervous system. all sensation, so any tingling or numbness, that all movement, trying to move your body, your muscles are connected via nerves to your brain. So it helps with movement, balance, coordination, and then perceiving your inner and outer environment. So that's what it's really all about, is your brain being able to know what's going on inside of you, what's going on around you, and how to properly respond. So a question that you might be wondering is, okay, you know that the spine should be aligned properly in order for the nervous system to function properly, but why wouldn't the spine be aligned properly? Why would there be a misalignment in the spine causing that interference in communication? So to answer that, we have the 4 T's. The 4 T's stand for trauma, thoughts/emotions, toxins, and technology. So each of the 4 T's has a macro and a micro level. So for trauma, trauma really means physical trauma. So a macro trauma would be like a car accident. A micro trauma would be like sitting for too long. For the thoughts and emotions, a macro trauma would be a death of a loved one. A micro trauma might be running late for something and feeling stressed about that. For toxins, a macro trauma would be going out and drinking a bunch of alcohol. A microtoxin might be going to McDonald's and having a cheeseburger. For technology, this is still unfolding as we speak because it's newer, but a micro trauma might be watching TV one night, and a macro trauma might be having a job where you stare at a computer all day, every day. So all 4 of these different things affect our nervous system, affect our spines, and can cause interference in that clear communication. So those are the things that cause the misalignment. My job is to correct the misalignment and allow that nervous system to come back online and to heal your body. So that was the science. Let's talk about the philosophy. The philosophy of chiropractic is really special, and I think is what really sets chiropractic apart from a lot of the other healing modalities that are out there. And the philosophy of chiropractic is this thing called innate intelligence. Basically, it says that your body knows how to be healthy. You're designed to heal. Just like when you cut your finger, you don't have to worry about it healing. You don't have to even know what's happening. You just put a Band-Aid on and wait a few days, and your body will heal itself. You have an intelligence within you that is always going to heal you if given the chance. And my job as a chiropractor is to allow you to trust in the power of your own body. Just like on the slide here, when a pregnant woman is growing a baby, she doesn't have to know what's going on. In fact, she can't know what's going on. All she does is trust that the baby is developing and things are forming the way that they're intended to, because we have this innate intelligence that's always running the show. And then lastly, the art of chiropractic. The art of chiropractic is the hands-on adjustment. So it's different chiropractors have different techniques. There's over 200 different chiropractic techniques that chiropractors may use to adjust the spine and get things back into alignment. My philosophy is that every individual needs something different every day they come in. No 2 days are the same, and no 2 people are the same. So I really find that I have more individualized care, and I really try and assess in that moment what that person needs and how I can best allow them to come back into that alignment, come back into that clear communication within themselves. And so let's go back to this beautiful quote and see if we can understand it a bit better. So chiropractic is a healthcare discipline that emphasizes the inherent recuperative power of the body to heal itself without the use of drugs or surgery. So that's the philosophy part, is the recuperative power of the body to heal. That's the innate intelligence. The practice of chiropractic focuses on the relationship between the structure, primarily the spine, and function. Now, the relationship between the structure and the function, that's the art. That's how I choose to address the spine and how I choose to actually adjust the spine. That's the art piece. And then the function, as coordinated by the nervous system, is obviously the science. And then how that relationship affects the preservation and restoration of health. So you'll notice that, yes, the restoration of health is in there. So when you're feeling, when you're having an issue, when you're having a symptom, that's a good time to see a chiropractor. But it's also about the preservation of health, which includes wellness care, which includes taking care of your body when it feels good, so you don't have to wait until it feels bad to go see someone. And that's part of the reason I see kiddos. That's part of the reason I see babies. A lot of parents do bring their babies in to see me because of an issue like colic, or not latching properly, or not sleeping properly, not hitting their developmental milestones, or having torticollis where their head's on like crooked to one side. But really, once we get those issues cleared up, I encourage my practice members to stay for wellness care. And most of them do, because they understand the concept of having the brain-body connection be as optimal as possible in order to stay healthy, rather than waiting until there's a dire situation and trying to put out a fire. It's so much easier to stay healthy than to come back from poor health. So this is a picture of me adjusting one of my favorite little kiddos in the office. And that about sums it up. Again, my name is Dr. Maddie Wallace. I'm at Awaken Family Chiropractic in La Jolla. This is my phone number if you wanted to reach out. Also, my website is a great way to get in touch, awakenchiro.com. And it's been so fun talking about chiropractic. I love, love, love talking about it. I could talk about it all day. So thank you, Amy, for having me. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I wanted to extend a special offer. If anything I said interest and sounded like something you would want to try out, I'm offering half off the initial exam and adjustment to anyone who sees this webinar and decides they want to give chiropractic a try. All right.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Maddie. That was great. And thank you for your generosity for that offer. In the initial consultation that people have with you, how long does it usually take? Is it like 1 hour? Or?
Yep, it's about an hour. We do a thorough history, and then I do an exam, and then I adjust, and then we go over everything I found and everything I saw, and then we kind of talk about a plan from there. Yeah, for kids, it's more like 30 to 40 minutes. But for adults, it's about an hour.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So for all of our attendees here, if you have any questions, do feel free to post them in the chat box. And I'll be going into my presentation in a little bit, but we'll open up for Q&A so that if you have any questions, you can ask Dr. Maddie directly. Okay. All right, great. So now let's go ahead and share my screen here. I want to make sure you could all see my screen. Can you all see it? Okay, great, perfect. So, so very similar to Dr. Maddie's protecting family wellness, we're protecting families' wellness on the legal aspect. So for most people, the reason why you're taking the time to come to listen to both of us today is because you want to take care of your family. Now, for us, family comfort and total assurance is really the top of people's minds. And people also want to protect their assets, their taxes, and self-care. And then honoring your choices, total assurance and peace of mind, and making sure there's total comfort when it comes to you and your loved ones and their assets. The main thing when people have children is who will care for your children if something were to happen to you. And so really the big thing is guardianship. So if that's, use myself as an example. So I'm a mom, I have a 6-year-old, and if something happened to me, then who else would be taking care of my son? This is when the guardian would come into place. We would need to name somebody, either friends or family or spouse, as that guardian so that that person can take care of the child in the short run, in the short term, like somebody who can come by and have play dates, maybe like within 15 minutes, they can pick up the child from daycare or from preschool. And then there's also the long-term guardian, which is somebody who can step into your shoes and take care, raise your children as you want. And really the reason why we're all sitting here is because we want to make sure that our loved ones are protected. They're healthy and they're also protected. They have all the resources that they need to thrive and to succeed in life. So So for many people who come to me, who already have a plan in place, I always ask, when was the last time you reviewed your existing estate plan? Or if you don't have a plan, then what's the state's plan for you? The reality is most people, when they think about estate planning, it's more like planning for death. It's like a one-time transaction. Oh, I got to put this will together. I got to put this trust together. But most people don't have any idea whether that set of document is actually going to work or not. So our focus today really is to focus on how can we plan for life. So similar to in chiropractic, instead of waiting until the dire situation when we're hurting, we want to really prevent that from happening on the legal side of things as well. So how can we preventatively protect your assets and your children so that nobody ever has to go to court in case of incapacity or death or anything happening? Everything will be protected within the family. It's by doing several things here. For example, you will make sure all your assets are protected and all your guardians are properly named, and you have a way of knowing that they are all protected and that you get a lifetime of guidance so that you can keep your family out of court and out of conflict. Here is a default of what happens in court when somebody passes away. So that's, say if something happened to me, what's going to happen if I don't have any estate plan in place? And that's just, as an example, that's just all I have is a house. And that's, for simplicity's sake, that's just say I have a house that's fair market value, valued at about $500,000. So if something happened to me and I don't have any estate plan, then my son or my family members, my loved ones, would have to go to probate court. Probate is a legal jargon that refers to a court proceeding after somebody's passing. As you can see on this picture here, it's a slow leaking pipe. The droplets are actually money that's going out of your family. So every time when you go to court, it costs money. That's why people don't like going to court, right? Because it gets really expensive. And so the first thing my son would have to do is to file a court proceeding in court called probate, and to basically let the judge know, okay, mom, something happened to mom, and then that's look at what she has. And so the attorney's fee is the first droplet, and then he would appoint an adult, actually, because minors cannot be executors. So there would have to be an adult to be the executor of this court proceeding, meaning to manage the whole proceeding and to communicate with the judge. And so every time when you file a paperwork with the judge, with the court, it costs money. So I jokingly say probate court is a lawsuit you file against yourself with your own money for the benefit of the creditors. So what's the purpose of probate court? Why do people have to go to court when their loved ones pass away? The reason is, if you owe anybody any money, owe any creditors any money, then the court will have to make sure your estate, what you leave behind, pays off those creditors first. As you, well, the court is really a social mechanism. It makes sure that whoever you owe money to gets paid first, and then the last in line is actually your loved ones, and so they get the last in the cut. So it's very, and also it's very time consuming and very expensive. So back to my example of the $500,000 house, guess how much it's going to cost? It's going to cost 5% of the $500,000. So let's do some math here. What is 5% of $500,000? It's going to be $25,000 just for your loved ones to go to court on a $500,000 house. So it gets really expensive. Now, the good thing is there's definitely a solution to this, and I promise I'll give you that solution by the end of today's presentation, so you'll know. Here I'm showing you the last will of Jackie Kennedy Onassis. So the reason I'm showing this to you is because when you just have a will, the will does not avoid probate court. And it actually is public. So everybody in the world will see what you own, who you're going to give your assets to. So when people ask me, what's the difference between a will and a trust? The answer is a will does not avoid probate, whereas a trust does. And also, if you have beneficiaries that are going to be receiving assets outright from you, say they turn 18 the next day, then all the assets are going to go to them, and they can spend it all if they wanted to. And the statistics is actually 87% of beneficiaries spend all of their inheritance within 3 years, unfortunately. So it's a good idea to think about how do we protect these assets from them themselves. Now, your kids could still be at risk even if you have a will because of what I just mentioned. Now, healthcare directives. If there's a healthcare issue and you cannot advocate for yourself, how do you want your body to be taken care of? These are the things you want to write down in advance so that you can let your family know. Maybe we could bring in a chiropractor in time, or however you want to structure that. You do want to let your loved ones know so that they know to do that for you. Okay. Now, here are some common planning techniques that don't work. For example, owning property jointly. And I'll just say some of these common strategies involve, many people like to add their minor children or their children on title with their house on their house. And I'll just say minor children cannot own assets, or if you name minor children as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy, they're not going to get it. And that proceed amount is going to have to go to court. And so it just, instead of making it easy for the family, you would actually be making it more difficult for the family because the family end up having to go to court. Here is the solution. So the only foolproof way to avoid probate court is a fully funded living trust with disability provision. Now, again, that's a whole pretty packed, pretty intense sentence there. And so a fully funded revocable living trust, what that means is, so you see this treasure box, it's really a legal document that you create for yourself to protect all of your assets. In this set of legal document in your treasure box, you are going to say who gets what and what happens upon death or upon incapacity. The way we're going to make sure all your coins, all your assets are titled in your trust or put inside of your treasure box is by all these green boxes here. Now, I won't go into the detail, but every asset is treated differently. So we want to make sure all of the assets are actually properly placed into the treasure box to avoid any of them going to court. Now, this is where I see a lot of trusts that don't work. So many people know that they need to have some sort of will and trust done. They just don't do it correctly. For example, many people, we have quite a few clients who first go to LegalZoom and then something happened to their family and then they realize the hard way that it actually didn't work to protect their family, and that now they're coming back to us to see if we could work something out for them. And so it's not just about creating that document, the will or the trust. It's so much more about making sure the assets are properly protected. So much like what Dr. Maddie was saying, it's not just about treating the problem, right? That's think about how to create that holistic wellness so that each and every asset that you own is in your trust, in your family. And going forward, as you grow your family wealth, as you buy your next home or create that new bank account, it's also automatically in your trust. So you don't have to worry about it. Nobody has to go to court or have any type of conflict over it. For our children, the single most important thing is what's called a lifetime asset protection trust. So when, unfortunately, or fortunately, we're in California, and here the divorce rate is 50% the last time I checked. So when it comes to giving assets to our children, many of our clients want to make sure that they are able to get the assets in a way that's protected from future creditor claims or the potential crazy ex. The way we help our clients achieve that goal is we give the assets to their children in what's called a lifetime asset protection trust, so that it's totally protected. Once the children get the asset, it will never be taken away by any creditors. And the reason why it wouldn't be taken away by any other people is because we create it so that it's under the name of the parents. But the children can have access to the trust as a trustee or as a beneficiary. If any of the thing I say confuse you, no problem. Definitely reach out to me, and in our private consultation, I'll definitely walk you through the different concepts. Speaking of which, can Ashley or Nico, can you post in the chat box our worksheet so that people, whoever has questions, can fill out our family wealth evaluation sheet, so that if they have any questions as we go along, they can enter that in the question box. When you click on the family wealth needs worksheet, the link, you can check what applies to you, and you can give us feedback on today's presentation, including any questions you might have for Dr. Maddie, or if you want to schedule a private session with her, let us know, and we'll pass it on to her as well. Now, so what we want to know about estate taxes here on the next slide. So estate tax is what your children would have to pay if you leave them more than a certain amount of money. So right now, it's what people call death tax. So if you leave them more than $12.6 million as of 2022, then they would have to pay they would have to pay 40% of anything above that 12.6 million. 99.9% of people don't have to worry about estate taxes. The reason why I'm mentioning it is in 2026, it'll drop down to 5 million. So many people do have to worry about estate taxes. If that's you, go ahead and check the box on the worksheet saying I want to prevent estate taxes, and we can talk more. The reason why we take the time in our sessions to go through each and every asset that you own is because most people don't have an idea, or they don't have a clear list of what they own exactly. And when something happens, they end up going to the unclaimed property division. Right now in California, we have $9.3 billion in the unclaimed property division, because when mom and dad pass away, the children have no idea of what mom and dad owned, and they end up going to court. And after 7 years, if nobody claims it, it just goes to the government, and it becomes impossible to get it back. The last thing is your values, insights, and stories and experiences. Another part of estate planning, if I would say is equally important as the money, is your values. How do we pass on our values to our loved ones so that they remember our legacy? How do we create that loving legacy to them so that they can also pass on the important work values or work ethics that you hold so dear? One size fits all planning really leaves your family at risk. Many of the plans that we have seen are very document based. So it's just focused on, okay, cranking out some documents. It doesn't focus on how do we make sure it actually works. And the way it works is actually making sure all the assets are in the trust, and that the children are protected, and that the provisions are in sync with your planning desires. How to get started? We have a family wealth planning session available for whoever is interested. In this 1 hour to 2 hour family wealth planning session, we go through each and every asset that you own. So by the time you're done with it, you will be financially organized more than ever before, because we'll actually ask you to fill in some homework, and in the session we'll look at each and every item that you own, and I'll give you some recommendations. We'll take a reality check of what might happen to your assets if something were to happen to you, and then you'll know with absolute certainty what you are going to do in order to protect that from court. So I also have an offer for you. For those of you who attended today's webinar, you get a complimentary family wealth planning session from us. Usually it's $750, but if you schedule an appointment with us today, then you get this waived. You will also get a $250 off when you make your appointment today to be used for any future legal services. So our next steps are for you to complete the worksheet that we just posted in the chat box and schedule your family wealth planning session today. And if Ashley or Nico, if you could post that link for people to schedule, they can post it in the link. They can schedule it from clicking on the link. And then you can use your gift from us to schedule an appointment with us. And now we're going to open up for questions. And yeah, click that link. And the last thing is, for those of you who attended our webinar today, if you enjoyed our presentation, both Dr. Maddie and my presentation, please go ahead and leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. And then we'll put your review into a raffle so that you could we'll raffle one for an Amazon gift card. With that, I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. Okay, I'm gonna open up the floor here. All right, so I have some questions for you, Dr. Maddie. Is there an age limit? I know we were just chatting before the presentation, but for our audience here, is there an age limit as to how young or how old a person can have chiropractic on them?
Yeah, that's a great question. The youngest I have ever adjusted was a 6-day-old baby. And the oldest person I have ever adjusted is my 91-year-old grandmother.
Oh,
wow. There's really no limit at all. You know, there's different techniques like I've mentioned. So with the really young and the older as well, it's just more gentle. And there's more, and there's a tool that I like to use called my activator that's really gentle, or I just use really light pressure. So it just depends on what they have going on, but there's really no limit for high or low.
Wow. So what's that, my activator? Is that just a tool or?
Yeah. Here, let me grab it real quick. Let me show you.
Yeah. We get our free private sessions here with our chiropractor and with an attorney. So ask away, guys.
This is my activator. I hope you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Clicking device, and I can turn it up higher or lower depending on what the person needs, but it's really nice, especially with toddlers who are just running around, because I can just find the area I need to adjust, do a quick click, and then it's over. And rather than having to have them sit down and lay down and it's really quick, and it's really gentle because I can turn it down to a very low force. So some people prefer this. Some people don't like the cracking noise that usually happens with an adjustment. So if people don't like the cracking noise, I use the activator. I also use this if people are so tight that I can't get in there, or if they're in pain. Sometimes this is easier because it's just so quick.
Yeah. And would you say, because you mentioned somebody being really tight in their body, so does having a massage beforehand makes it easier for you?
That is helpful. Absolutely. I also have one of those massage guns, a hyperbole. And there are some people that I know I just got to use it on them before I even try to do anything else, because they're just so wound up and tight. But that's one of the nice things about chiropractic too, is that it helps kind of unwind that tension in your system. And if you go consistently, you can really see a difference in how tight your body is.
And the massage gun is the deep tissue one.
Yeah,
I see
it
on Amazon.
vibrates and
Yeah.
yeah, some people love it. Some people it's too much for them, but I just go based on what they need.
Yeah, yeah. That's so awesome that from 6 day old to 91 years old. So it's quite a range. Yeah,
It is, it really
yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah. And would you say the commonality you said are their bodies are more like just uh more sensitive?
Yep, more sensitive, absolutely. But regardless of age, we all have a spine and we all have a nervous system. And really, the nervous system is important no matter what stage of development you're at. I honestly believe that getting newborns adjusted is even more important than getting like a 30-year-old or 40-year-old adjusted, just because their nervous system is taking in so much new information. Their nervous system is developing. They have so much growth ahead of them. And so to have their nervous system working optimally from day 6 is really beneficial for them throughout their entire life.
Yeah, I'm so curious about that 6 day-year-old because we have a lot of families that definitely have minor children. And so then how did you continue seeing that 6 day, like that little baby and how,
Yeah, that baby was a wellness patient because I was seeing the mom. So whenever I see a pregnant mom throughout her pregnancy, I'll do a wellness visit with the baby, just complimentary. So the baby came in for a wellness checkup, and I don't think I saw the baby again for another like month or two. But I always say, like, even if baby's doing really well and there isn't any red flags, every time there's like a developmental change, I recommend just getting them checked out. So like when they start teething or they start crawling or even when they start rolling over, it's a good time to have them come in just to make sure everything's doing well, just for a little tune up. And then with breastfeeding, I see a lot of babies just because of the latch, they're not latching
yeah,
properly. And so
yeah.
it's helpful to get a different perspective and to actually, I go inside the mouth and do some oral work to help them get that latch. And if they're able to breastfeed, that again changes their entire life because it's so much better for them if they're able to do that naturally.
And the bond for the mom and the baby too.
Totally, totally. Yeah, mom usually is so relieved too when that gets figured out.
Yeah, how many dads actually come to the meeting?
Yeah, the dads are usually harder to convince, but I do have, off the top of my head, I can think of like 5 or 6 families that all come together, and I adjust the mom and the baby and then the dad and
Oh,
get everybody together. But yeah, it's not uncommon for a mom and her child to be coming in just them. Yeah.
yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
that the most beautiful thing to see, like mom and dad, the whole family
I
coming in?
know. It's so fun. It's so fun.
It
Staying
becomes
healthy
like a,
together.
yeah, it becomes like a family wellness project.
Yeah. And the funny thing is too, they'll all come in and I'll be like, how's everybody feeling? And the dad will be like, I'm fine. And the mom will be like, no, tell her about the other day when your back was hurting. And he's like, okay, yeah, well, my back hurt yesterday. It's so funny. They
The
like
dads,
help each
the
other
dads.
out. It's great.
Oh, that's lovely. And then because your location is just prime,
Yeah.
right? So families can, after they come to see you, they can go like take a walk at La Jolla Shores and
Ah,
say hello to the sea lion.
totally. Absolutely. And I have people who just stop by, after dropping their kids off at school or during their lunch break or whatever. It's pretty easy to get around, which is nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
For those of you we have some people who attended after you started. So if you could just share one more time how to get a hold of you and how and your offer one more time, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'll drop my name and my email in the chat so anyone can reach out. But what I'm offering is half off the initial exam and adjustment. So typically that's $140. It's about an hour, and we do a history exam and adjustment, and get you set up for care. And so if you heard something that sounded interesting and you want to come check it out, I'm happy to do that for half off.
Awesome. And they have only if they attended this webinar or
Yes.
mentioned that they attended this
Right,
webinar.
or watch the replay. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. That's fantastic. We will be sharing this in our newsletter to all of our clients, and Dr. Maddie just share her contact info in the chat box. So feel free to, can people just email you directly, or is it better to call you to schedule a
Honestly,
consultation?
either one works fine. If I'm with patients, then email is easiest, but phone number works perfectly fine. You can call, you can text, leave a voicemail. I'll get back to you for sure.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mehdi. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll stay connected afterwards and have a good one. Bye. Bye, guys.